Hello everyone. So in this today's video session, we are going to continue your third chapter, functions concept. So in last video session, we discussed about functions. So what is function, how to define a function. So how to define function. So function we can define by using def keyword. So def keyword followed by function name, and that function name contains parentheses for accepting parameters. Okay, and then we end with colon. Okay, and then next we write a block of code. So that block of codes we have to represent in the form of indent block of codes. So this one is the syntax to declare a function. So this one is very important. Okay, so and then we discussed about return values. So how to return values from one function to another function, means calling function to called function. So by using return keyword, you can send up or you can return a value from one function to another function. And then we discussed one example also regarding to that return values. Okay, and the next concept is none value. So you already know none. None is a keyword. Okay, we used in Python programming language also, and then we used in previous programming languages what you studied in Java and all. So none is nothing but what. So if you want to return, if you don't want to return any value, okay, any value from one variable. Okay, if you don't want to save anything inside that variable, so during that time you have to store something, some default values we need to store. So means if your variable will not contain anything. So the default values means that one is also one value. Okay, for integer we store 0 as a default, and then for floating 0, 0.0, and then for string empty string. Okay, so sorry, for string null character. So these are all the default values, but this none is nothing but nothing we are storing inside that. Okay, if you don't want to store anything inside your variable, okay, so then we use none values. So in Python there is a value called none, which represent the absence of a value. Absence of value means nothing is there. Okay, inside that storage area. Okay, so none is only a value of none type, data type. So here that none is also a data type, means it will not represent anything. It means it will not represent anything. So other programming languages might call this value null, nil, and undefined. So in other programming languages, so we used null. Okay, null, and then nil. Okay, in previous programming languages, we used null in the place of none. We use null, nil, and undefined. But just like that, in Python, we use none. So just like how you define Boolean values, true and false. Okay, so the two keywords T, you have to write it in capital letter. Remaining characters RUE, you write it in small letter, right? Like that for none also. NONE is the word, right? None contains NONE characters. In that first word, N, you have to represent it in uppercase. So must be typed with capital letter N. This value without a value can be helpful when you need to store something that won't be confused for a real value in a variable. So mainly this none values we are using to store nothing. If you don't want to store nothing, okay, then we use none. Okay, so mainly the print function displays text on the screen, but it does not need to return anything in the same way where length or input does. Means your print function, your print function will display characters. Okay, if you want to print something, what we have to do? We have to call a print statement in Python, and then inside that we have to type something, right? We have to type something, then only it will display something in your output screen. If you not return, if you not mention anything, what it will return? It will it will not print anything. That one is your none value. Okay, so during that time by default none values you can assign to your variables. By default, that for that print none will be assigned, and then for length and as well as for input also none will be assigned. Okay, but since all the function call needs to evaluate to return value, print returns none. Okay, already told. So after evaluating means after executing, so if you not typed anything inside that function, it will return none. Okay, so here you see one example that show you how that none will work. Okay, type this program in your interactive shell, means in your spreader, and then see the output. So here you see press spam is equal to print hello. Okay, print hello. So then what it will do, what this spam will do, hello, it will be print. Okay, if you call spam, that this function it will be called, and then hello will be print. So if you assign none to spam to none, so then it will print true. Why? Because Python adds return none to the end of any function definition with no return statement. So in Python, what happens in the sense, so it will uh, attach, by default it will attach none, return none. Return means it will not return nothing, return end of any function. If you call any function, at the end of that function it will mention add return none. Okay, so for returning no statement, if you don't have mentioned return statement by default, so return none will be added by your Python. Okay, so next one is keyword arguments and print. So I hope you all understand none value. So if you don't want to say, or if you don't want to print anything in your function, then by default your function will call none value. But uh, if you want to assign some none values, means if you don't want to store any values inside your variable, during that time you can print none, or you can assign none to your variable. So next one is keyword arguments and print. So for printing values, in Python, uh, they introduce two main keywords. One is separate and end. Okay, end and SCP. SCP represents separate. So SCP and end, these two keyword uh, was introduced in this Python for for printing the datas, multiple datas or multiple words if you want to print. So for that they introduced two keywords called end and as well as sep. So why we need to use that end and SCP? Sep in the sense separate. Okay, that, but that keyword we represent using sep. Keyword arguments are identified by the keyword put before them in the function call. Okay, keyword arguments are often used for optional parameters. Means this keyword arguments mainly used for just like an optional. Okay, optional means you can use it, or you will skip this one. Okay, so for example, print function has optional parameters end and SCP to specify what would be printed at the end of list of arguments between its arguments, separating them respectively. Okay, for separating the uh, arguments. Okay, to separate out the arguments, and then what it will be do at the end. For that, they introduce two key optional parameters called end and separate. Okay, so how where we have to use this separate and end arguments, in the sense, now we see that example. So after you see this example, then you can understand so why we use this end and separate. Listen here, in this example we have two print statements. Okay, print functions. One, that first print we are going to print hello, and then in second one we print word. Okay, so when you execute these two print test functions, so in the output screen, these two values are printed in two separate lines. Why? Because this Python is an interpreted language, so your program will execute it line by line. So in first line, hello will get executed, and then next it will jump to word. Okay, that's why these two print statements are printed in two separate line. Okay, but if you don't want to print like this, if you want to print these two statements in a single line, so for that we have to use end keyword. So if you are using end keyword, so it will not make your first print statement jumps to new line. Okay, so it will provide the space to execute that print the statement in after that first statement will get printed. Okay, here you see the two strings appear on separate lines because print function automatically adds the new line character. Okay, this print statement automatically in Python will add the slash n. New line means slash n, right? It will jumps to new line. Okay, new line character at the end of the string is passed. However, you can set the end keyword argument to change this different string. So by using this end keyword, you can change this one. Okay, you can avoid the automatically jumping characters to the new line. Okay, for example, see here for this program, in first line where you have to avoid in the first line if you don't want to skip to the jump to the new line. So here you have to mention allow first and then put comma, and then here you have to specify end equal to empty string. End equal to empty string if you call, then it will, this function, this end function is there, right? So this end, sorry, this end keyword is there, right? Keyword argument, it will avoid the jumping of this print statement to the next line, your program flow to the next line. So next statement will start executing here itself. Here itself it will start get executed and then print it in output. So that's why we use end key or keyword arguments, and keyword arguments to avoid the jumping of the statement from one line for line one next line. So here you see the output would look like this, hello world. So but here by default what it will do, the print function jumps to the new line. After executing the particular statement, it will jumps to next line. Okay, but here by default it will call the slash n function new line character. But here if you are using end keyword, if you used end keyword, so then it will avoid, this end keyword will avoid the jumping to the new line character. So for that you have to use end keyword. Okay, so next one is separate. SAP as a keyword, it is used to separate. Okay, if you want to separate the printing characters, from by using commas or colon. Okay, so for that we use SAP. Similarly, when you pass multiple string values to the print, you pass multiple string values to the strings like this. To see here this example, so here we are going to print the 3 string values, so cats, dogs, mice. Okay, so here inside that print statement we used comma to separate the different string values. So in the output screen it will be displayed like this. After cats, okay, one white space, because your string always, each string always end with null character, so that's why by default it will accept the null character. Okay, and then after dogs again white space, but I don't want to print like this, I want to print like this, right? Like this means after cats I need a comma. If you want semicolon, you can use semicolon. For that, if you want to represent or if you want to put comma or colon between the multiple string values, we have to use SAP keyword argument in C Python programming. So here you see, so for if you want to print like this, for that you have to call same print function. At the end you used arguments. Okay, this one is option parameter, SAP equal to string. Okay, inside that string, which for separating which operator you are going to use. If you can use comma or colon or full stop, you can use anything. Okay, try to type this one in your interactive shell and then see the output. So here these two are also important question. Okay, so here in exam you may expect that question like explain the keyword arguments of print statement. So then you have to explain end as well as SAP. End we are using to avoid the jumping of print statement from new line, jumping to the new line, and then separate is used to separate out the outputs from by in the form of commas or colon or semicolon. You can use any characters. Okay, any special symbols. Okay, next one is global scope and local scope. So we already know in variables, for a variables we have mainly 2 scopes. One is local scope and another one is global scope. So when that local and global scope concept will come in the sense when we create a function. So in functions, so if you declare a variables, we already know, you studied that in variables 2 types of variables, local variables and as well as global variables, right? Okay, that same thing here called as local scope and global scope. In function, inside a function, if you declare any variable, that variables are called as local variables that can be accessed within that function itself. Okay, outside that function we can't access that variable. Okay, that one we called as local variable. But and then that variable having scope with to access within that particular function. But if you want to create your variable, that variable if you want to make that variable to access by entire program, in that entire program all the function, entire program functions want to access that variable, then you have to declare that variable outside the function inside your program, outside the function that can be accessed by all the function within your program. Okay, that one we call as global scope. If you declare a variable within that function, then that variable having local scope. If you declare a variable outside the function within your program, okay, so then that one we called as global scope. That global scope variables can be accessed by all the functions, but that local scope variables can accessed only by the function, okay, where you declare, where inside which function you declare, that function can only access. So variables are assigned outside all the functions are said to exist a local global scope. Already told, outside all the function outside within that program, that we called as global scope. Variable that exists in a local scope is called as local variable, while a variable that exists in the global scope is called global variable. A variable must be one or the other. It can be both local and global scope. Means if you declare any variable, that variable may be a local or global. It cannot be both local and global. So here you see some of the rules for scope of an variable matters for several reasons. First reason is code in the global scope cannot be used any local variables. So if you have any code in the global scope, that global scope code cannot be used by local variables. Okay, so and then however means here in the first line means if you declare a global variable, that global variable we can't use like a local variables. So next, however, a local scope can access global variables. Yes, a local scope variables can access global variables, but that global scope cannot be used any local variables. Local variables can access global, but global can't access the local variables. Code in a function local scope cannot be used variables if any other local scope. Means one local variable in one function we will that will can't access the another local variable of another function. You can use the same name for different variables if they are in different scope. Yes, you can give same name for both local and global variables, but a globally declared variable is global, locally declared variable is global, local variable. Okay, so next, see here one example is there. Local variables cannot be used in the global scope. Okay, okay, in this last scope I told, okay, you don't give same name. Better you avoid, for best practice you avoid to give same name for both local and global variable. Okay, see that example. So local variables cannot be used in the global scope. Okay, for that they are showing one example. So here you see they defined one function called spam. Okay, this one is a function, right? Def spam, and then x is equal to 31337, and then they call the function. They are calling this function. Okay, when they call this function, it will return nothing. Okay, after that it will print x. So if you call like this print x, it will not print. It will show an error. Why? Because in spam, this x are locally defined variable. If you run this program, the output will look like this. You are getting like this. Trace back your recent call lost print x file means. So here, what x it will be print. Okay. If you call this variable inside this method, its function itself means this print statement. If you mentioned inside after this x, okay, inside that function, then only this function will get executed, means your print statement will get executed. But now we are calling outside this function. Okay, outside this function in the sense, so it will searching for local variable. If there is, sorry, yes, it will searching for global variable. Are we defined any global variable x, global variable x variable? No, we are defining local variable egg. Okay, that's why if you want to print that one, you have to print it inside this function itself. Outside this function, if you define, you get an error. Okay, here we are calling global variable x. Global variable x is not there. Okay, we have only local variable that belongs to spam function. Okay, so that's why you are getting a error. Okay, so see here, local scope cannot be used variable in another local scope. Means one local scope variable you can't use it in another local scope. Okay, one local variable in one function, you can't use it as another function local variable. See this one example. So def spam, this one is the one first example. For function spam function, inside that x is equal to 99, and then they are going to call another function they are calling inside this function spam function back on. Okay, and then print x. Okay, so again they define another one function called back on is a function. Okay, either ham is equal to 101, and then here they assign x is equal to 0 and then spam. So now here you see uh, definition spam. Here spam function, inside the spam function we defined one variable called x is equal to 99. For the text 99 value we are assigned. After that this function will get executed. Okay, inside this function, okay, when you call this function these values are get executed. M is equal to 101, x is equal to 0. Okay, so but here outside this we are calling spam function. If you call the spam function, so what it will print? It will print the x value 99. It will not print this x value 0, because this egg will belongs to the bacon function. Okay, but this egg local variable belongs to the spam. So which egg value will belongs to the spam value, that one will get printed. So when the program start, the spam function is called. Okay, first the spam function is called, I already told. Okay, listen here in this example. mm, in this example, so this spam is different function, and then beacon is different function. Okay, don't get confused. And then outside this they are calling spam. First spam function is called, and the local scope is created. Okay, then the local variable x one is set to 99. Then the beacon function is called here. After that beacon function is called, and a second local scope is created. Multiple local scopes can exist at the same time. As in this new local scope, the local variable am is set to 101, and then local variable x, which is different from one of the spam locus scope, so then is also created and set to 0. Okay, this am and x belongs to beacon. When beacon returns, the local scope for that call is destroyed. The program execution continues spam, then the function to print the value of the egg. And since local scope for the call to spam still exists there, the x variable is set to 99. This is what program prints. Yes, already told. Okay, so don't get confused. Here you see this function for this spam, these three values are there. For beacon, these two are there. Okay, outside this spam we called. Okay, if you called spam, okay, then this function is executed for x 99 value is set. Okay, and then inside this we are calling beacon function. Okay, when you call this function, then this function will get executed. For am101 is assigned, and then x is assigned. Okay, when you comes out of this function, these local variables are get destroyed. Okay, then only one exists, that is x is equal to 99. For that it will print x values as 99. Okay, so now you understand local scopes cannot be used variables in another local scope. So in one side one local scope you can't use the variables of another local scope. Okay, global variables can read from a local scope. As now we can read global variables values we can assign to the local variable. See this example. So def spam, in this spam print x. Okay, print x. So here this for this function print x. So here outside this they are calling variable x. Here this print x is there, right? This function belongs to the spam function. This print function belongs to spam. This x is global variable. Why? Because we are calling outside the function. If you call variable or if you create variable outside the function, then that variables are global variables. Now these x are global variables. Now you are calling spam function. If you called, then it will print 42 only. Okay, you can call inside that global variable, you can call inside the any function. So that global, I already told, global variables can used by any function in a program. So then it will print what? 42. After this, again you are printing print x. So this function will searching for global variable is there or not. Yes, global variable is there. So x is a global variable, then it will print 42. So here two times we are printing 42. So here we don't have parameters named x. So or any code that assigned to the x value of the spam function. When x is used In Python, consider it a reference to the global variable. This is why 42 is printed when the previous program is run. Try to run this program two times. In two times, here for these two print functions, same 42 value will get printed. Okay, so local and global variables with the same name. So next we see what happens if the local variable and global variables having same name. But for best practice, you need to avoid this one because the coder will get confused. Okay, a developer will get confused if you write program like this. Okay, see here in this program, local and global variables having same name. See here, first they define function called spam. Okay, for this spam they called a variable eggs. Okay, for this they assign spam local spam. Okay, and then print x. Okay, what it will print spam local, and then back on. Okay, for back on x is back on local. Okay, when you call print, so it will print back on local. So here after that, if you call spam and then next print x, again it will call print back on local. After if you call spam also, this function will get executed, but this x value or not comes to this function because this x and this x variable both are local variables. Okay, okay, again if you call print x, it will print back on local. So next x is equal to global. So and then next if you call function back on function, if you call okay x print x, it will print global. Okay, back on after calling back on function also, after if you call these values are get executed. Okay, executed, but it will not print the values. Okay, and then next if you call print x, so if you call this print x, it will print global. Okay, so here you see first one to print back on. When you run this program, so first back on function will get executed. Okay, back on function will get executed. Okay, here we are calling back on function, right? That's why this one will get executed. This x value will be print back on local. Can back on local. Okay, and then you are calling spam. Okay, if you go to spam in that print x, so here it will print spam local. After that it will comes here print x, so here again it will print back on local. After that we have print x, so if you print x, this egg will get executed outside the function. So this print statement x will searching for global variable. Here we have one global variable x, so then this value will get printed. Okay, same thing what I told that they explained here. So next one is global statement. So now, sir, can we convert? You can ask like a question like, can we convert local to global? Yes, we can convert local variables into global variables. So for that, we have to use global keyword. So by using that global keyword, you can convert local variables into global variables. See this example. So here, that's the thing they explained in this concept, the global statement. Okay, global statement. So in that you can easily convert global variables in local variables into global. So here in see this example def spam. So global x they defined. Okay, if you want to create global variable inside your function, create any variable, that one will become local variable. But if you want to create global variable inside that function, for that first you have to define variable by using global keyword. So global x, now this one is global variable now. So for this x they assign span. So then next they define x is equal to global. So next they call the spam function, call that span function. This x will get executed, print x. If you print that egg values, then it will print what value. Next we see what value it will print. It will print span. Why? Because this egg and this egg, these two are the variables. These two are local global variables now. But here when we try to execute this program, for this egg global value will get assigned. Okay, and then you call the spam. Okay, spam function. So inside this spam function also we have global variable of same name eggs. Okay, now this global value what we assign to x will be erased, destroyed, and then spam will be assigned to this x. Next, if you try to print outside the function, if you call the print function, your egg variable searching for global variable, so global variable x, but inside this egg now we have spam. So when you run this one, spam will get executed. So here you can convert or you can create global variable inside a function. okay, by using global keyword. Okay, so same thing what I told, they explained here. Okay, so next if you want to see the different, we have another example. Try to run this example and see the output. So here you see in this program define spam one function, they define spam. So here they created a global variable eggs. So x is equal to spam. Okay, x is equal to spam, they assign spam string value assigned to x. And then next in beacon function also they created local variable. Here they not mentioned that global keyword local variable beacon. And then ham function, and then here the print x function they are calling. So now this is in here outside this they defined x is equal to 42. X is equal to 42 local variable they created. Okay, so and then they call spam function. So when you call spam function, here global variable x is what? Global variable egg value is egg value is spam. Okay, now for this egg spam value will get attached. Okay, and then you call print x, what value it will print? So it will print what? It will print spam, not 42. Why? Because here we overwrite that global variable value. Try to run this program and see the output. Okay, so this completes your function concept. Okay, and then next we have two simple concepts called exception handling. Okay, exception handling, and then next we see one example. This one is the last concept of your first module. Okay, exception handling. So exception handling I already told in Python. If you get any error, it will not stop the execution. Okay, it means it will not crash your system. Instead of that one, what it will do, it will stop the execution of the program by printing some error message. Okay, so that one is the main advantage of Python. So here also we can get some different types of errors, like just like exceptions, just like what you studied in previous programming languages, like divide by zero error, memory out of bound. Okay, and then stack overflow. Oh, these are all the errors. The same thing here also. This one is also programming, right? So same exceptions we are here also we are getting. Okay, so getting an error or exception in a Python program means that the entire program will crash. You don't want to this happen in the real world program. Instead, if you want a program to detect errors, handle them, and then continue to run. So mainly why we are using exception handling in the sense we don't want to stop our program execution or crash our program. Instead of that one, we have to detect the errors and then handle those errors and then try to continue. Means robustness. If you want to detect the error and then try to overcome the errors, for that we use exception handling. Here you see they defined one function in this program. We are getting divide by zero error. So for that definition, spam divide by one function they declared for that one parameter divide by return 42 divided by divide by. Okay, if you pass uh, 2 as 42 divided by 2, it will return that value some 21 12. Okay, for that some value we are getting, that value it will, when you divide this one by 0, then you get an error. What error you are getting? Divide by 0. We can't divide the value with 0. So during that time we are getting error. Okay, that errors you need to handle. Okay, divide by 0 errors you need to handle. Here you see output first one 21.0, 3.5. Okay, after that you get a error divide by 0. So if you get a error like this, it will stop the execution by printing the error message. But what we have to do means we don't want to stop the execution of the program. We need to run the program to next means you have to make that program to execute the remaining statements. Another one statement is there, spam of 1. So this will not get executed. Okay, if you get an error, to avoid that one. Okay, to avoid that one. So next we have to use try catch for handling exception. Here same what we are used in Java. Okay, try catch block, here also we are using try catch block. So here you see for that same program, that code you have to put it in a try class. So try, after that colon. Okay, colon, here colon you have to use, and then return 42 divided by 42 divided by q variable. This one is a variable, right? Variable they declare. So if you get an a exception, For that exception, here you have to use except keyword. By using this except keyword, you are handling the errors. So zero division error. Okay, zero division error. This one is zero division error. You have to name. Okay, and then put colon and then print error invalid argument. Okay, you have to print the error invalid argument. Okay, so this one is the error. Okay, error means in this way, by using this try except block classes, you can handle the errors. In previous program, what happens if you get error, it will print error, print that particular error and then stop the execution. But now if you don't want to stop the execution, continue the execution. If there is any error will occur. If you want to catch that errors, so then you have to use try class block. So inside that try, you put that code and then you have to print the exception. You can guess what type of exception you can. It will this program function will return. So here we know only one possibility is there, divide by 0. That's why except division 0 error. Okay, for that you have to print error invalid argument. Now we run the same program 2 12 for 2 21.0 12 3.5, and then for 0 it will print this statement error invalid arguments. Okay, and then it will return none. Okay, none means it will not return anything, but I already told the function will return by default none value. That none will be printed here. Okay, and then printed here, and then next year it will not stop the execution. After it will get it will get the errors. Okay, so it will continue the execution. Next statement also get executed. Spam1 42.0 will be printed. So by using try and except class, we can handle the exception. So that's why exception handling is very important. But if you are handle the exceptions in a right way, okay, then your code will execution will not get stopped. Okay, it will continue its execution. Okay, so here you see another one program. Any error that occurs in the function call in try block will also caught. Okay, in function call, if you get any error, that one is also caught. Consider the following program which instead has spam calls in the try block. So here also, here you see, if you get any error, that one is also a try block. Inside the try block also, if you get an error, that one will also you can caught. Okay, so here you see try. First they are try to call the functions. In this function call, we are put it in a try. But in previous pro example, we put that inside that function, that expression we put it inside a return statement. Expression we put it inside a try. But now function call we put it inside a try. So here they defined a function. Okay, so try print spam2, print spam12, print spam, the function call, except divide by 0 error, print error invalid argument. But here it will print the statement what you are, but it will stop the execution. Okay, it will not return from that. But here if you write your program like this, so that then it will continue the execution of spam1. But here it will stop the execution here itself. When you get an error in that function, if you, it will not return to the function flow and then execute the next statement. Okay. So next, the last concept, we have one program, short program. So that short program will define guess the number. Okay. So if you want to guess the number, for example, here first we declare one random number, range 1 to 20. Between that number, which random number it will selected, your system software will select that number. You need to guess. For that one program is there. So just to simply go through this and try to execute. So now I explain this one. First we have to import the random. Okay, why? Because here we are dealing with random numbers. We have to import the package, random package. Okay, and then secret number is equal to random dot rand integer number between 1 to 20. So print. So here this range you can vary 1 to 15, 1 to 30. That will vary. Print. I am thinking a number between 1 and 20. So you have to give statement to the user, right? Okay, you have to think the number between 1 and 20. Okay, so next for loop you have to use here. For guess taken, this one is the variable guess taken in the range 1 to 7. Okay, here they give you 7 chance. Okay, You can give, if you want to give only 3 to 4 chance, then you have to fix the range between 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. Okay, here they are giving the guess chance of 1 to 7 times you can guess. Print, take a guess, next you take a guess, and then you have to give input. If the guess less than secret number, this secret number you already stored. Okay, when the program will get will start execution, this secret number will be assigned. Okay, so if the guess is less than secret number, then it will print your guess is too low. Okay, and then if guess greater than secret number, then it will print your guess is too high. Otherwise else break this condition is not the correct guess. Okay, these three statements are get executed based on the what number you are giving input. If you are giving a correct guess, if you are giving a correct guess, then it will print break this condition is correct guess. Okay, if it is less than that of your guess, then it will print your guess is too low, and then it is more than, it will print your guess is too high. If the guess is a secret number, then it will print good job. Otherwise, if you after taking 7 times 7 chances, then it will print nope, the number it was taken, it was the string secret number. That statement would be printed. Okay, this one is simple program. Okay, so my in exam you may chance of getting this program. Okay, so that completes your first module. Okay, now we see this program, we type this program in your interactive shell and then see the output. So I already typed this program and then saved here. Okay, now I simply run. Okay, run. If I run this one, okay, I am thinking a number between 1 to 20, take a guess. So they are telling, so now I give input as 5. Okay, so the guess is too low. Too low. Okay, too low means the number is greater than that of 5. So now I give 10, 9. The guess is too high, means the number is between 5 to 9. So now I give 7. Now your guess is too low. Low means, so now it will go to say 8. Yes, good job, your guess number is number in 4 guesses. So how many guesses? If you are guess that number, that will also printed. Okay, so string guess taken, how many number of time gets you are taken. So here I took 1 2 3 4, that will also printed. Good job. Okay, that guess taken will be stored here. This value will be incremented, right? That incremented value will be here in first term 0 1 2 3 4 5. That value will be incremented from starting from 1 to right 1 to 7. 7 times this guess taken variable will get incremented. So we discussed in for loop, right? Yes, try to execute this program in your system. Okay, and then see the outputs. So this complete your first module in your Python. Okay, so next I will send the assignment questions. I'll send assignment questions and then notes. Along with that notes, write that assignment, and then maybe within next week I conduct internals, first internals. For that first internals, you have complete one first module concepts for your internal syllabus. Okay, thank you. Thanks for watching this video. We meet in next video session.